Hello everyone, welcome to Diplomatic Commentary. Data released by the US Department of Commerce on April 30th shows that the US GDP for the first quarter of 2025 fell by 0.3% on an annualized basis, marking the first contraction since the second quarter of 2022. On April 30th, Politico published an article stating that Trump's tariff policy is one of the main reasons hindering economic growth. This has forced American companies to stockpile foreign goods before the tariffs take effect, leading to a record-high trade deficit in March, which in turn dragged down GDP growth. Economic experts have bluntly stated that the tariffs will bring hellish consequences to the US economy. The article states that due to concerns over Trump's establishment of trade barriers, American companies rushed to import foreign goods in the first 3 months of this year. According to data released by the U.S. Census Bureau, the U.S. goods trade deficit expanded by 9.6% in March to $162 billion, the highest level on record. Since the trade deficit is subtracted from GDP, this has had a negative impact on U.S. economic data. Arthur Laffer, an informal advisor during Trump's first term and an American economist, said that tariffs would bring hellish consequences. He said, "I don't know what direction President Trump thinks things should go. I don't know what he plans to do. I very much hope he can significantly reduce tariffs." Former U.S. Treasury Secretary Yellen also warned that Trump's tariffs would hit companies reliant on key mineral supplies from China, having an extremely adverse impact on the U.S. economy. She told the Financial Times that the tariff policy would have extremely adverse consequences for U.S. consumers and the competitiveness of businesses dependent on imported inputs. She says, "I cannot say I predict a recession, but it is certain that the possibility has greatly increased." Consumers are becoming increasingly pessimistic about the U.S. economy. The monthly survey report released by the Conference Board shows that market expectations for the future are at their lowest level since 2011. Some Republican donors mentioned in the Wall Street Journal, such as Ken Griffin, founder of the hedge fund Citadel, have also warned that Trump's tariff policies could undermine the foundations of the U.S. market. Tim Quinlan, a senior economist at Wells Fargo, said, "With each passing day since Trump's inauguration, it becomes increasingly difficult to fully restore market sentiment. It's a bit like trust. It takes a lifetime to build, but only a moment to destroy." In the face of unfavorable economic data, Trump was eager to shift the blame to Biden. He posted on his self-created social media platform, Truth Social, saying, "This stock market performance is inherited from Biden, not Trump." He said that he only took over on January 20th and the tariff measures would soon start to take effect, with a record number of companies beginning to move into the United States. He also threatened that our country will prosper, but we must rid ourselves of the adverse effects brought by Biden. White House officials insisted that stronger than expected consumer spending and private investment partially offset the economic contraction, and the fundamentals of the U.S. economy remain stable, temporarily alleviating concerns about a recession. Trump's senior trade advisor Navarro also claimed that this is the best negative GDP data he has seen in his lifetime. The high tariffs imposed by Trump and the instability of his policies have already disrupted the hiring plans of American businesses. A quarterly survey report by the Business Roundtable, an American business organization, shows that the number of U.S. companies planning to expand their workforce in the next 6 months is sharply declining. Deutsche Bank Securities senior economist Brett Ryan pointed out that since Trump has not yet fulfilled campaign promises such as tax cuts, the negative impact of the tariff war on the U.S. economy may weaken public support for him. He said, "But our initial thought was that Trump's tax policies could offset the negative impact of trade policies, but this idea has been overturned." To briefly summarize, the U.S. economic data for the first quarter is not impressive, and Trump and his team have shifted the blame onto their predecessors. However, the sentiments of economists and consumers do not align with Trump's self-praising rhetoric. The sentiment emanating from the American business community is becoming increasingly pessimistic about the U.S. economy. Unlike the pessimism among the American public, Yiwu, the world's small commodity capital most affected by tariffs, has not experienced the wailing scenes anticipated by Western media. After Trump initiated the tariff war against China, Yiwu, the world's largest small commodity distribution center, became the focus of media attention from various countries. They flocked to visit this small city, but they did not see the expected city of sorrow. On May 1st, the BBC reported that in Yiwu, they saw buyers from Africa and South America, sellers actively learning foreign languages to explore markets beyond the United States, and businessmen rolling their eyes in disdain at Trump. Hu Tianqiang, a toy merchant in Yiwu, sat among rows and rows of stylish toy airplanes, toy dogs, Barbie dolls, and Spider-Man on motorcycles, and told the BBC, "I don't care about sales to the United States. Other countries have money too." Previously, about 20 to 30% of his business came from the United States, but now the situation is different. He said, "We are currently mainly exporting to South America and the Middle East. We are not short of money, we have money too." When the BBC asked Ig about Trump, Hu Tianqiang's colleague Chen Lang rolled his eyes and interjected, saying, "He's making an international joke now, really incredible. A joke a day." For him, the imposition of tariffs is just a joke. Hu Tianqiang's toy stall is located in Yiwu's largest wholesale market, which houses over 75,000 shops, offering everything from sparkling Christmas lights, kitchenware, to massage guns. Buyers can find everything they want here. The BBC pointed out that last year, Yiwu's exports to the United States accounted for 17% of China's total trade with the US, placing Yiwu and its surrounding areas at the forefront of the US-China trade confrontation. Trump imposed tariffs as high as triple digits on all Chinese products exported to the US, causing trade between the two countries to nearly come to a standstill. However, in the face of US economic bullying, China has not backed down. The BBC says that nowadays, in factories and markets, many Chinese businessmen and exporters like Hu Tianqiang have also not succumbed. They say that besides the US under Trump's leadership, they have other options. In the market where Hu Tianqiang's toy stall is located, the BBC encountered many buyers from the Middle East, Africa, and South America. It is understood that every day thousands of buyers from around the world flood into this market. They communicate with Chinese merchants in various languages, and when it's inconvenient, buyers directly input numbers into a computer and write the final transaction price on the floor with chalk. The BBC noticed in the Yiwu market that even before the stalls opened at 8 in the morning, the sound of reading aloud echoed in the spacious halls of the wholesale market. A teacher was teaching students to say "thank you" and "you're welcome" in Arabic. This is a free language course provided by the local government association for foreign trade merchants. Students dress up in their best attire during classes, striving to leave a deep impression on customers. A stall owner from Iran who was teaching the students explained that these students are the backbone of China's foreign trade. They are taking these courses to stay ahead and maintain their competitiveness. The BBC reported that most traders can already speak a few simple phrases in English, and now they also want to learn Spanish and Arabic to attract more new buyers. This is a subtle but crucial sign of the shift in China's trade relations. Oscar from Colombia was walking through the market with a bag full of plush toy sets and teddy bears. He said that the trade war initiated by the United States has provided many opportunities for traders in other parts of the world. Now everyone feels that doing business with China is very important, while doing business with the United States is not as important. Yiwu toy merchant Lin Xupeng told the BBC that he has been in the toy industry for 10 years and has also noticed a decrease in American buyers, but he confidently stated that they definitely need China. Most of the toys in the United States are supplied by China, and many American companies have recently been protesting the tariffs. The BBC described his feeling as correct. Bloomberg reported on April 30th that Trump's tariff policy has exacerbated the already struggling American toy industry. This industry experienced a surge in sales during the COVID-19 pandemic, but is now showing signs of slowing down. Last week, the American Toy Association, representing 850 toy manufacturers, filed a lawsuit accusing the Trump administration's tariff policy of being unconstitutional. The report states that about 96% of American toy and game companies are small and medium-sized enterprises, and considering the quality and affordability of Chinese manufacturing, these companies cannot easily change their supply chains. Jonathan Casey, a Los Angeles toy company owner, told the BBC that tariffs are crushing small businesses nationwide. He described that the entire toy industry could be in trouble. He said, "We are witnessing a complete collapse of the entire supply chain, and the situation could become very dire." Casey pointed out that producing a toy requires a lot of resources, and many Chinese companies have spent 40 years perfecting their manufacturing processes. Changing suppliers is a daunting task, and the cost of this daunting task may ultimately be borne by the consumers. Hasbro CEO Cox said during the earnings call on April 24th that about half of the toys and game consoles they sell in the United States are made in China. If they switch to Turkish suppliers, there will be additional costs, and they will have to raise product prices. Based on several observations in the past month, many Western media outlets have flocked to Yiwu for interviews. They see the resilience, confidence, and boldness of these small merchants, not resentment. This is actually the confidence behind the Ministry of Foreign Affairs' release of short videos showing they won't bow down. Second, these small merchants are not unaffected. Yiwu merchants are unscathed, but as the BBC showed, they're learning languages and dressing in traditional attire to seize opportunities. Their drive to rise above the crisis is redefining China's global image and boosting its soft power. Third, besides exploring new overseas markets, the domestic market in China is also the confidence for merchants to face the US trade war. The conclusion is that in this tariff war, the outside world sees a united China. In contrast, the situation in the United States is even more divided.